today's sausage, sage and wild garlic risotto. And so, let's do it. This risotto is unbelievable, packed full of flavour, creamy and delicious. So the first step, you want to take some good quality butcher's sausages and simply score the skins, remove the skin and pop the sausage meat into a bowl. Once you've done this, pop the sausage meat to one side and next some lovely wild garlic. Make sure you thoroughly wash it first and then taking a really sharp knife, dice it up fairly fine. So chop your way through it, pop it to one side, and then we want some beautiful aromatic sage. Very simply, remove the sage leaves from the stems, toss the stems and then chuck the leaves into a small bowl and pop them to one side ready to go. So that's all the prep we need to do at the moment. So you want to stick a pan on the hob, turn the heat to about medium, add a little dash of olive oil and chuck in your sausages. Soon as they're in, start to break them up with a spatula or a wooden spoon. Add a touch of seasoning, so a nice little pinch of salt and some freshly ground black pepper. Also at this point you want to get a large saucepan of stock ready and just pop that on a low heat so it's warm, ready to go. While the sausage is cooking, we're going to prepare a shallot. So cut the top and the tail off of your shallot, cut it in half and remove the skin, and then you want to dice the shallot up fairly fine. So chop your way through it, and when that's diced up, you want to chuck your shallot into a bowl. So there we go, shallots done. And then back to the sausage. A few minutes and it should be starting to get a little bit of caramelization and it'll be releasing some of that beautiful pork fat. There we go. That's about as small as you want to break up the sausage. When we tuck into the risotto, you want to find little sausagey, meaty nuggets in there. It'll be absolutely delicious. And when it's pretty much ready, you want to go in with a nice generous pinch of some fennel seeds. Give them literally 1 minute just to toast off. And at this point, you want to tear in some of your sage leaves. Once the sage is in, you want to give that about 1 minute. And then the last thing to go in, right at the last moment, is a really good handful of your wild garlic. And we literally want to cook the wild garlic so it gently wilts down for about 30 seconds and then get that straight off of the heat. Pop your sausage into a bowl and then we're ready to crack on with the risotto. So clean out the pan, pop that back on the heat, add another little dash of olive oil, turn the heat down between low and medium, and then chuck in your diced shallots. Soon as that shallot is in, give it a good stir, and then you want to season with a little pinch of salt and a few twists of some freshly ground black pepper. And we want to gently sweat down the shallots until they're lovely sweet and soft. And while they're ticking away, we want to prepare some garlic. So take a bulb and we just want between 1 and 3 cloves, nip off the ends, remove the skins, and then dice up the garlic a little bit finer than you did with the shallot. So chop that up, stick your garlic into a bowl, and then back to the shallots. They should be getting nice and soft at this point, beautifully sweet, and so you want to go in with a few teaspoons of the garlic. Stir the garlic through, and we literally want to give these about 30-40 seconds before we go in with our risotto rice. Here I'm using carnaroli rice, but you can use a borio. It is entirely up to you. Both are great, and the trick with risotto, you want to blast the rice. So fry it off for about 30-40 seconds until you start to get a beautiful nutty aroma. This is blasting the rice. Soon as you get that nutty aroma, we're going to deglaze with the wine. Typically this takes about 30 seconds to a minute. So stir the rice through, and after about 40 seconds, we're going to want to deglaze with some white wine. So pour in a really good splash of your wine, and then you want to reduce down the liquid, burn off the alcohol until it's a really thick, sticky syrup, barely any liquid left. And then this is when we start the classic process of cooking risotto. The trick, add a ladle of your chicken stock, cook that out and stir it through on a good simmer until you've reduced down the liquid, and then repeat. Don't add too much liquid, that is the trick. We want to slowly and gently tease out that starch. The risotto will slowly start to puff up and get soft, and we want to take it to the point that the risotto is beautiful, soft and creamy and delicious, but we still want a tiny little bit of bite. We don't want mush. So keep going, a little ladle at a time, stir and reduce and repeat. And the entire process will take about 30 to 40 minutes, just depending on the rice and the heat. So keep going, and I would say after about 25-30 minutes, that's when you want to start to taste the risotto to see how you're getting on. 20 minutes in, we're getting there. That's really puffing up now. It's getting soft, getting creamy, but there's still a fair bit of bite. You don't want to undercook it, but also you don't want to overcook it. So take your time, keep going, and your hard work will certainly pay off with an amazing creamy risotto. There we go, so we are basically done now. That is absolutely spot on. The cooking is done. All that's left is kind of melting in the butter and the parmesan. So after about 35 minutes, just at the point that the risotto is done, I like to reduce down the liquid so that the risotto is slightly thicker than we would want, and then you want to go in with a good few knobs of butter and a really generous grating of some parmesan or pecorino romano, your choice. Stir the cheese and the butter through, and then give it a taste and make any adjustments you need at that point. You can add some more butter, you can add some more cheese, a little seasoning if it needs it. Stir again, give it another little taste. Spot on. And at this point, it's really important to turn off the heat, and then we're going to chuck back in our sausage, stir that through, and this is where we can adjust the consistency of the risotto. Add a little bit more stock, add any more butter, stir, keep adding stock or butter until we've got it just as we want. We want it beautiful and creamy and thick, and then when we're good to go, you want to very quickly take a nice little handful of chives, dice them up really fine, pop those into a bowl, and then you want to spoon your risotto out into a bowl or a plate. Finish by scattering over some lovely crispy onions, grate over some parmesan or pecorino, a nice pinch of those diced chives, add as much of the garnish as you like, and there we have the most unbelievably delicious sausage, wild garlic and sage risotto. One of my all-time favourites. Oh my god. Creamy, crunchy from the onions, a slight oniony flavour from the chives, little bursts of delicious sausage, and then you got a hum of the wild garlic, the sage. That is unreal. You really have to give this one a try. This is a winner. So all that's left to do is to get stuck in, make sure you give this one a try, and I'll see you next time.